don't think it started yet. I'll take
Okay, well, make sure
one,
you
two.
start it off.
Okay, I think we're live now. Yep, we're live. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and sisters out there. This is Brother Z. I guess I can show my face 1 second. Shalom. This is Brother Z from SOJ. We're doing a live stream with the other brothers in TK tonight. We're going to be going over going to be going over false blood theologies and false blood doctrines. So basically, we're going to be covering the matter of blood and certain things in the Tanakh today, and we're going to pretty much explain a bunch of different ceremonies and things that require not require, but we're going to be talking about basically a lot of different blood uh things in the Tanakh, like things that have to do with blood. I want to be pretty much explaining how we deal with it and what we're supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do when it comes to blood. So this is Brother Z, Shalom. I'm gonna let all the brothers get their Shaloms, and then I'm gonna get it started with the first verse.
Shalom's brother Vanye. Want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh God.
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, Torah Knights, Torah Israelites all across the globe. This is your brother Masharai Yaha. And I definitely want to give all praises to the King of Glory, who is Yahweh Ka, Yahweh Badad, Yahweh Saware. Yahweh Saware meaning Yahweh my rock. And just here to bring out some great information to the public. Shalom.
Shalom, this brother S. Um, uh, Shabbat Shalom, first and foremost, and Yahweh Akkad, Yahweh Sabaoth. I want to say, oh, sorry, but yeah, today we're going to be going over, we're going to be breaking down these blood covenants and oaths and uh, going into what they really are and why you shouldn't choose to go down that path because that's the path to destruction. You know what I'm saying? You have to say you should not make a compact of death. You know what I'm saying? And that's what that is. So we're gonna get into that. I want to say shalom to all the marshals out there. Shalom to all of Yashua, and ready to have another good TKR. Shalom to all the brothers out there who are keeping the fight wholeheartedly and sincerely, and keeping upholding this word. You know, Yahweh's law, His commandments, His statutes, ordinances, and decrees. But pass on to the next brother.
Shalom, his brother Davion, and first off, I want to say Yahweh Akkad, all praises Yahweh Halala Waya, Adonai Yahweh Zabewa, Allah Yasharal, and Shalom to all of Yasharal out there, all the Mashals who keep Yahweh's Tawawah in truth and walking His truth wholeheartedly and sincerely, and that's all I'd say. Shalom.
Shalom, this is Brother Tom, Elder Tom from TK. All praise to the Most High Yahweh, who is our provider. Just want to give a shout out, to all those in attendance, to the public, those who are mainly interested in the Word and not folly. It's very important we keep ourselves humble on the Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Yahweh Kai.
Khan. All right. This is Brother Z here, and I want to say Salakia for me giving an introduction first without saying Hallelujah and Yahweh Kai, praise Yahweh for allowing us to be here today to appreciate the Shabbat and to observe it in the ways that we can, with all the information and knowledge that we have. So I'm gonna start off here at Leviticus chapter 17, and it's gonna be Leviticus chapter 17 verse 10, and it says any man any man of the house of Yasharal and of the proselyte who dwells among them who will consume any blood, I shall concentrate my attention upon that soul consuming the blood, and I will cut it off from its people. For the soul of the flesh is in the blood, and I have assigned it for you upon the altar to provide atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that atones for the soul. Therefore, I have said to the children of Israel, any person among you may not consume blood, and the proselyte who dwells among you may not consume blood. And that was pretty much kicking it off from my first point. And my first point is that the blood is sacred when it comes to the life that houses it, or yeah, the life that houses it. So it's like whatever uh whatever that thing or that animal or that living thing was doing in its life, it's in its blood. So you don't want to be consuming that in a physical sense. You don't want to be you don't want to be eating the blood. That's why we're not allowed to consume blood. It's always to be poured up out and drained, you know? And that was my first point.
Shalom. I got a verse back up what brothers you were saying. This Leviticus 1. I'm gonna start at verse 3. If one's offering is a burnt offering from the cattle, he shall offer an unblemished male. He shall bring it to the entrance of the tent of meeting, voluntarily before Yahweh. He shall lean his hands upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall become acceptable for him to atone for him. He shall slaughter the bull before Yahweh. The sons of Aaron, the Kohanayim, shall bring the blood and throw the blood on the altar all around, which is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So you don't consume the blood, you throw it around the altar or at the base or on the horns, right? And remember, the word for blood, dam, means to become like. So as my brother was saying, whatever the animal was doing, and you consume the blood, you take on the characteristics of the animal, right? But Yasharal is set apart. That's why you're supposed to partake in the clean animal, the one who chews of the cud, and the one that who the one who hooves are separate, right? Because it's deemed clean to us if it's separate, right? So when you offer that animal, whether it be the lamb or the ram or the goat, right? You take on the characteristics of the righteous animal, right? But you don't consume it, right? And I'm passing it off to the next brother.
Okay, shalom, shalom. And I guess I kind of want to take it back just a little bit to kind of get a small basis. And I think the basis really I want to make is that we need to also look at the effects of why we shouldn't drink blood, and also the seriousness of blood itself. So I'm gonna go to the book of Genesis. And I'm gonna go to Genesis, the 4th chapter. So lock, man, my little girl keep opening up the door. So if y'all hear background noise, just forgive me. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Genesis 4, and I'm gonna start at verse number 10. And what I'm just trying to do is I want to expound on the seriousness of blood. And it says, then he said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother blood cries out to me from the ground. Therefore, you are cursed more than the ground which opened its mouth wide to receive your brother's blood from your hand." So let's just stop right there. The seriousness of this action, because as we all know, this is considered what? Original sin, as they call it. And so next, I got some precepts to back this up, and I'm gonna stay right here in Genesis. I'm gonna go to Genesis, the 9th chapter, and I'm gonna start at verse number 4. It says, "But the flesh with the soul, its blood, you shall not eat. However, your blood, which belongs to your soul, I will demand. Of every beast, I will demand. But of a man, of every man, that for that of his brother will demand the soul of man. Whoever sheds blood of a man by man, his blood shall be shed. For in the image of God, he made man." Okay? So this is a great sin. And this also proves, if you look at it in context, this also proves Yahweh's law was already here. The law of you shall not kill. See, that was already here. So let's keep going. So I got this I got another precept. We're gonna go to stay in the book of Genesis, and we're gonna go to Genesis 37. We'll go to Genesis 37 and 22. And this is looking at an example. Oh yeah. And Reuben said to them, shed no blood, throw him into the pit in the wilderness, but lay no hands on him. Indeed, to rescue him from the hand and return him to his father. So the whole point is that that law was already in effect. And this is the book of Genesis. So we're just looking at the effects of what it does. And my last precept, I want everybody to go to the book of Ezekiel. And because Yahweh doesn't change, and if we just look at, his pattern, his ways, we'll see this. So we're going to go to the book of Ezekiel, the 7th chapter. Let me get there. All right. And we're going to look at verse number 23. What does it say? It said, make a chain, for the land is full of blood, guilt, and the city is full of injustice. So the shedding of blood upon the land, that's a serious crime. And that crime has to be atoned for. But I think just the greater point I want to make is that we got to look at the effects of blood and the power in it. Like the brother says, when you consume that, you can become that. And also that shedding of blood itself is a crime. So, you got a lot of doctrines that say, blood has to be shed, but truth be told, blood being shed is a bad thing in this manner. And with that, I yield Yahweh God.
Hey, if, I didn't want to interrupt any of the brothers, but if I could back the brother up on the points he just made, um, this is Leviticus chapter 17, chapter 7 chapter 17 verse 13. It says, any man of the children of Israel and of the proselyte who dwells among them, who will trap a beast or a bird that may be eaten, he shall pour out its blood and cover it with earth. For the life of any creature, his blood represents his life. So I say to the children of Israel, you shall not consume the blood of any creature, for the life of any creature is in the blood. Whoever consumes it will be cut off. So as you see, when they gave the offerings, they had to cover the blood back up with the earth. Even more like symbolizing that it's like your blood's tied to like your physical being, which you don't necessarily want to like be offering. Not necessarily, I'm not saying offering, but you want to offer your spirit and your mind. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily the blood that is valuable, but the life was in it. So you shouldn't consume it. You know what I mean? Salak, Selah.
So, hey, this brother Masharaya, I wanted to piggyback on what the brothers have said concerning the devouring of blood. Um, the um, the prophet Moses, the great teacher, he bring out some great. He brought out a particular. There was a particular verse in Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 23 that I'm gonna bring out this precept real quick, and this goes into the seriousness of with regards to the devouring or the eating or the taking in of blood, because it symbolizes like you're devouring life, when you're actually consuming it within you. So Deuteronomy 12, Deuteronomy 12, verse 23, it states, only be strong not to eat the blood, for the blood it is the life, and you shall not eat the life with the meat. You should not eat it. You shall pour it onto the ground like water. You shall, verse 25, you shall not eat it in order that it be well with you and your children after you when you do what is right in the eyes of Yahweh. So I just going back to what the brothers have said. The devouring louse, when it comes to the blood and the shedding of blood or the devouring of blood, is a very serious situation with regards to Yahweh, and these are the things that we need to take into consideration. Okay, nevertheless, we just want to be able to present the good information and the correct doctrine with regards to blood and why it's critical regarding that. And again, like the brother Vanya said, when it comes to shedding innocent blood, that's a very critical thing. And there is a particular um, there's also a particular scripture in the book of Numbers with regards to when innocent blood is shed, it defileth the land. When you shed innocent blood in the land, it defiles the land, and Yahweh will cause many curses or pestilence in your land and wickedness in your land when innocent blood is shed. So that doesn't just go for the land of Israel. That goes throughout the whole world. There's been there's been plenty of innocent blood that's been shed, and Yahweh will require it. And say that I say Shalom, Salam.
Shalom. I had some verses to bring out right quick. This is an example of this is an example of someone consuming blood and what their outcome was, right? So this is Genesis. This Genesis. I'm gonna start at verse 27, right? The lads grew up, and Esau became one who knows hunting, a man of the field. But Jacob was a wholesome man, abiding in tents. Isaac loved Esau, for game was in his mouth, but Rebekah loved Jacob, right? Verse 29, Jacob simmered a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was exhausted. Esau said to Jacob, pour into me now some of that very red stuff, for I am exhausted. He therefore called his name Edom. Jacob said, sell as this day your birthright to me. And Esau said, look, I am going to die, so what of use is a birthright to me? Verse 33, Jacob said, swear to me as this day. He swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank, got up and left. Thus Esau spurned his birthright, right? So he ate some very rare stuff. Jacob was making a stew, right? Which means it wasn't fully cooked, which means there was blood still in it, right? And therefore he named him Adawam, right? Which means like red or like ruddy, like the blood shedders, like you can see it. Remember, he was a man of the field who knows hunting, right? So it's like so basically, like he hunted game. So when he said, pour into me now some of that red stuff, which is like consuming the blood or the life of any creature, right? He had this. He sold his birthright to Jacob, right? Because Esau came out first. He would have had the birthright, but he ate that red stuff, which is consuming the life, and that's an abomination to Yahweh. So therefore, he had to sell his birthright. He spurned it. He said, "I'm going to die anyway." So he didn't care whether he did it or not. That's all I had to say. Shalom.
All right, I wanna bring something out. I got two precepts, and I brought this one out before. Like I said, this is gonna be First Kings, and the precept is, I believe that's gonna be in Leviticus 18. In fact, yeah, because somebody hold the precept Leviticus 18 and 24, and I'm gonna get this out of First Kings, and it's just gonna connect this all, because remember, when we was took out of Egypt, Egypt had some wild practices, and everywhere that we went had some wild practices. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this. This is gonna be First Kings chapter 18, verse 28, and it says, and they called out with a loud voice to cut themselves with swords and spears according to their customs until blood spurted on them. So this is the Canaanite custom. And what's so crazy? We still see this today. You see people, they be in those places and they be flogging themselves until they bleed. But that's a Baal worship custom, to cut yourself and make yourself bleed. But once again, we know that you're not even supposed to, just shed blood like that. And so somebody will go ahead and get that precept, Leviticus 18 and 24.
I got you. Uh, Leviticus chapter 18, verse 24. Do not become contaminated through any of these. For through all of these, the nations that I expel before you become contaminated. The land become contaminated, and I recall its iniquity upon it, and the land disgorged its inhabitants.
Con.
But you,
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
no problem. But you shall safeguard my decrees and my judgments, and not commit any of these abominations, the native or the proselyte who lives among you. Shalom.
And Con, and it just kind of goes to show, like you said, notice the correlation right here in Leviticus 18:24 and the correlation in Genesis 4. Because by the shedding of that blood, it does what? It corrupts and contaminates the land. Same way when Cain killed Abel, it contaminated the land as well, because he said his blood cried up to me from the land.
Khan, I wanna oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let Brother
No,
X
go
go.
ahead.
Salak.
No, go ahead.
Shalom, shalom, Mr. Brother X. All right, so I'm gonna be coming in with you with a example as well as a lesson within it. It's in Numbers, and it's chapter 11. And I'm gonna start at um, let's see. I'm gonna start at 30, verse 30, and it says, uh, Moshe was brought into the camp, he and the elders of Yasharal. A wind went forth from Yahweh and blew quail from the sea and spread over the camp. A day's journey this way and a day's journey that way, all around the camp and the 2 cubits above the face of the earth. So let me give you kind of a rundown of what's going on. So the context of what's going on is the people were complaining, while on the way out of the wilderness about not having any meat. The manna wasn't good enough for the people, so they were complaining on behalf of not having any meat, and they was starving, and that they had it way better in Egypt, and they've just been on folly and this and the other, and just being ungrateful and unappreciative. And so Yahweh heard the complaints, and this is actually what Yahweh's he had. Well, let me read that part first. Okay, uh, so what happened was Yahweh had gathered, or he had Moses gathered a lot of the elders in the camp, and verse 25, Yahweh descended in a cloud and spoke to him. He he increased some of the spirit that was on him and gave it to the 70 men, the elders. When the spirit rested upon them, they prophesied but did not do so again. So he put the spirit on them so that they could prophesy, and so that they would see what was going to happen, because he was kind of rebuking them. But let me continue to read, and then uh, it says, a wind went forth from Yahweh and blew quail from the sea and spread over them the camp, a day's journey this way and a day's journey that way, all around the camp, the 2 cubits above the face of the earth. The people rose up all that day and all the night and all that day and gathered up the quail. The one was the least gathered in 10 comers, and they spread them out all around the camp. All right, this is right here. This is the main point. It says the meat was still between their teeth. That means that the meat wasn't cooked, which means they was definitely consuming the blood as well as everything else with the meat of the quail. That's an abomination. They were basically being in haste, and they wasn't patient enough. And that's a big no-no too. So let's finish reading that. It says, the meat was still between their teeth, not yet chewed, when the wrath of Yahweh flared against the people, and Yahweh struck a very mighty blow against the people. He named that place Kibaroth Hata Abba, because they buried the people who had been craving. See the word craving. That's one of the examples I want to bring out and pass that off to one of the other brothers.
Yeah. I wanted to get to the point that the Most High does not require blood. He doesn't require blood. He doesn't like the shedding of it. So he doesn't require it. But like blood can also be symbolized with like death, because usually when your blood's pouring out, you're getting closer to death. But like what I'm saying is the Most High has no mention with death because the Most High gives life. He is life. So what I'm saying is we're not supposed to deal with blood too much because it can kind of be representatory of like death, because the Most High doesn't want us to be dealing with death either. Um but what I was getting at was that he doesn't require that. He requires you to sacrifice inwardly, and he requires for you to have inward realizations and to have realizations and to accumulate things that matter, where things that matter in the spiritual realm, which would be like things in your spirit here. So like you want to build up those treasuries for the Most High. So I'm a without further ado, me stalling. Isaiah chapter 1 verse 11, and it says, "Why do I need your numerous sacrifices?" says Yahweh. "I am sated with elevation offerings of rams and the fat of fatlings. The blood of bulls, sheep, and goats I do not desire. When you come to appear before me, who sought this from your hand, to trample my courtyards? No longer shall you bring a worthless meal offering. It is smoke of an abomination to me. As for the new moon and the Shabbat, you are calling of convocations. I cannot abide." Uh, it says medicinally, I think, with solemn assembly. My soul detests your new moons and your appointed times. They have become a burden upon me, and I am weary of bearing them. So the Most High is tired of hearing about Yasharal offering and blood sacrifice, and thinking that blood sates the Most High. The Most High doesn't like that. He detests. He's come to detest the new moons, the Shabbats, is because we've made them gatherings about blood, gatherings about sacrifice, but not the right sacrifice, not the inward sacrifice. We've made it about actual sacrifice. So our people came to think that to appease the Most High, all you gotta do is slit the throat of some sheep, when that's exactly against what the Most High is trying to teach us, to value life, not to expend it for thinking. You know what I'm saying? That's like a ritualistic practice. I'm gonna go over to Psalms chapter 50. That was you. That was you. Sorry, Salak. If you want to read it, you can, because it connects with my point.
I know I was going. I had a couple verses to bring out with it too.
Uh,
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 50 verse 10, it says, "For mine is every beast of the forest, the cattle of thousands of mountains. I know every bird of the mountains, and what creeps upon my fields is with me. Even were I hungry, I would not tell you, for mine is the world and its fullness. Do I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats?" Question mark. Offer God confession, then redeem your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in the days of distress, and I will release you, and you will honor me. You see what I'm saying? That's what the Most High wants. He says, it says, offer God confession, then redeem your vows to the Most High. So that's what the Most High seeks. He doesn't seek blood of any animal or of any man, you know? So
I
it's
got
like,
a
uh,
precept for you too,
Uh,
man.
con, con,
I
con.
got a precept after you, brother. About
Okay,
you.
my precept, and it's gonna back up and expound, because what the brother's trying to get out is that we got to a point to where, we forgot that it's just about being obedient, because it was never about blood. And that's the big deception and the big hoax going on, because people are thinking, well, it's just blood. No, not exactly. But this precept is gonna be in Hosea chapter 8, verse 13. "The sacrifices for my burnt offerings, let them slaughter for meat and let them eat. Yahweh does not desire them." Because why he doesn't desire them? Because once again, it's just a constant show of disobedience. And the greater point, especially that the brothers are making, is that once you've done it so much, it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like at this point, you have to change now. because you've justified it. And it's sad to say there are people who teach this blood justification doctrine, and that's a false doctrine. With that, I yield.
Con, man. Great information. Just pretty much just to add on to, add on the building blocks of what these brothers already brought out. I'm going to the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 6 through 8. And it's pretty much just a backdrop on, like, these are the things that with regards to sacrifice and offerings, he doesn't require that. And all these sacrifices and offerings is really supposed to do is to teach you on how to do the same thing inwardly. That's what Torah means. Torah means teachings, instructions. Okay, it doesn't mean law like people use it in today's term, right? It means teachings. It means instructions. To expound on this, Micah chapter 6, starting from verse 6. You ask, with what shall I approach Yahweh? Humble myself before God on high. Shall I approach him with burnt offerings, or with calves in their first year? Will Yahweh be appeased by thousands of rams, or with 10,000 of streams of oil? Shall I give over my firstborn to atone for my transgression, or the fruit of my belly for the sin of my soul? Verse 8. He has told you, O man, what is good. What does Yahweh require of you? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. These are the things that Yahweh required of us. Right ruling acts, walking humble before him in righteousness and truth, knowing that, hey, I remember there was something that our forefather Jacob, when he said, when he was in Padam Aram, he said, I'm not worthy of the least of thy increases, O Yahweh. These are the things that Yahweh treasures with us. When we're able to humble ourselves before him to say, like, Yahweh, I can't do this by myself. I'm willing to do everything you call me to do, but without you, I can't do anything. And these particular the acts of justice, righteousness, judgment in the earth, these are the things that Yahweh calls for. Not sacrificing a bull or offering your firstborn son, which our forefather was doing in the land, which was wicked. Okay. And I want to bring out one more precept. I'm going to Jeremiah chapter 7, starting from verse 21. Let me just go there real quick. Because this is very critical information with regards to how we serve Yahweh. Yahweh does not require sacrifice and offerings. Verse 21. Thus said Yahweh, Master of legions, Elohei Yasharal, God of Israel, add your burnt offerings to your peace offerings and eat their meat. For I did not speak with your forefathers, nor did I command them on the day I took them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt or peace offerings. Verse 23. Rather, it was only this thing that I commanded them, saying, hearken to my voice, that I will be your God, and you will be my people, and you will go on the entire way that I command you, so that it will be well for you. I think the scripture is pretty much self-explanatory. Therefore, Shalom, Ayah, Salah.
I got a precept for that, man. Because and the actual precept and the history on that. Let's go back to the book of Leviticus. And it's something, we went over this 100 times, but it is what it is. It has to come out. We'll go to Leviticus 16. It's to back the brother up. And it says Leviticus 16:6. And it says, Aaron shall bring near his own sin offering bull and provide atonement for himself and for his household. He shall take the 2 he-goats and stand them before Yahweh at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Aaron shall place lots upon the 2 he-goats, 1 lot for Yahweh and 1 lot for Azazel. Aaron shall bring near the he-goat designated by lot for Yahweh and make a sin offering, and the he-goat designated by lot for Azazel shall be stood alive before Yahweh. So that offering did not die in front of Yahweh, because why? He's not about requiring death or blood. And if you really just listen to what the brother just brought out in so many words, like Yahweh only commanded us to be obedient. It's the blood, the whole blood thing and all of that. That's for the atonement for, that's the atonement for, Azazel. It's just what it is, because he's the one who carries the beast off into the wilderness, but it's alive in front of Yahweh. So that's why he just said Yahweh never commanded us about blood. Just look into that. With that, I yield.
Come on, brother. I just wanted to back you up. This is Hosea 14, right? Verse 2. Return, Israel, unto Yahweh your God, for you have stumbled in your iniquity. Take words with you and return to Yahweh. Say to him, may you forgive all iniquity and accept good intentions, and let our lips substitute for bulls, right? Remember, it's not about the blood, right? It's about it's like the purification of the soul, right? So I'm gonna go to Psalms. I'm gonna go to Psalms 51, verse 19. The sacrifices God desires are a broken spirit, our heart broken and humble, O God, you will not despise. Do good in your favor unto Zion. Build the walls of Jerusalem. Then you will desire the offerings of righteousness, burnt offerings, and whole offerings. Then will bulls go upon your altar, right? As I just said, let our lips substitute for bulls. And it says, verse 19, I'll read it again. The sacrifices God desires are a broken spirit, a heart broken and humble, O God, you will not despise, right? How about your prayer, right? Now, I'm also go to Psalms 50, and I'm gonna start at verse 23. He who offers confession honors me, and he who orders his way, I will show him the salvation of God, right? So, who offers confession, right? So it's the prayer to Yahweh, right? When you acknowledge what what your transgressions, right? That you acknowledge you have transgressed Yahweh's laws, statutes, commandments, His ordinances, right? It's not about the blood. It's about um it's about cleansing the lower self and purifying that lower mind, right? And having dominion over the flesh, the meat, right? That's all I had to say.
Come, I got a few stuff for you guys. To back up the brothers that were talking about earlier about it's basically it's more so lines of obedience. It's the lesson being learned here. You know, having what's that like power of flesh? What's the word they used earlier? They used cravings. It said cravings. It's like a fleshy thing. That's something that you can kick. But this is gonna be in First Samuel, and it's verse 22. But I'm gonna start off at verse 21 so that you can know what happened. So it says, the people took sheep and cattle from the spoils, the best of which was to be destroyed, in order to bring offerings to Yahweh, your God, in Gilgal. Okay, so just told you right there. What then happened was Yahweh had commanded Shaw to destroy everything and destroy Amalek. They were supposed to decimate everything, and they was not supposed to take anything back. But what they did was they had pity on them, and they took the best of the spoils and the offerings and the cattle, so that they could bring it to Yahweh as offerings, which is vain because He didn't tell you to do that. That's like doing more than required. You know what I'm saying? Let me read verse 22. It says, Samuel says, does Yahweh delight in elevation offerings and feast offerings as in obedience to the voice of Yahweh? Behold, to obey is better than a choice offering, to be attentive than the fat of rams. For rebelliousness is like the sin of sorcery, and verbosity is like the iniquity of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yahweh, He has rejected you as king. And see, that's what happened to Shaw, all because he chose not to heed. So that's a lesson within a lesson. Obedience. Selah.
Con, I
Come,
got a
come.
precept on. So I got a precept I want to back you up with that. If somebody could hold Leviticus 18:21, and this is to back the brother up. Like I said, somebody can hold Leviticus 18:21, and this is going to be Jeremiah 7:5. It says, only if you truly improve your ways and your deeds, if you truly do justice between man and his fellow, it says, do not oppress the stranger, orphan, and widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place, and do not go after the gods of others to your own harm. So let's stop. He actually dropped a heavy one right there. Because what does it say? It says, do not worship the God of others. I'm sorry. Now it says, do not shed innocent blood in this place, and do not go after the gods of others. So can somebody get that Leviticus 18:21? Because this is exactly what he's talking about, because this is what Yashar was still doing.
I got it. Leviticus 18 and
Verse
21.
21. Verse 21. You shall not. 18:21. Leviticus. You shall not present any of your children to pass through for Molech, and do not profane the name of your God, Yahweh.
And that's exactly why he's telling them. He made it very clear. It said, do not shed innocent blood and do not go after the gods of others. Now think about it. The worship of Moloch is to shed the blood of an innocent child. And clearly we understand the shedding of the blood of an innocent child in a spiritual sense. That's just like the worship of Moloch, because that's what's required in doing it. And that's why he said, don't do it to your own harm. Because think about it. When Yahweh if he's turned you over to the wickedness for you to cut off your children, he's cutting you off, because your blood is going to be in your children. So that's just one of the acts, just to show he's turned them over to the wickedness. But the brother Jeremiah, he said, only if you truly improve your ways and your deeds, because at this point, it's not about blood no more. It's about literally making a change, changing the inward man and renewal of the inward man. With that, I yield.
Calm.
Oh, go ahead.
I just had one thing, and brother D, maybe you can help me out with this. I actually want to. There's a great example regarding what Brother Vanya just brought out regarding shedding innocent blood and sacrificing into Moloch, and also regarding what you would have to do in order to overcome what you have done, the wickedness you have done, as far as repenting and the things that Yahweh require of being of a broken and contrite spirit. Everybody know about King Manasseh of Judah. What I want to do is I want to go over 2 Kings chapter 21. I want to read 2 Kings 21, and I need help from someone to read 2 Chronicles chapter 33 of explaining the wickedness, that pretty much the history of the wickedness of King Manasseh, and also the Chronicles going into exactly through his wickedness what happened to him, and then what did he do after he committed that wickedness, and what did Yahweh do for him after he did what he did, after he felt sorry for what he did. What was the repercussion? What was the end result afterwards? So I'm going to start from 2 Kings chapter 21. Okay, and I'm going to read to verse 17. I'm going to read to verse 17, and for 2 Chronicles 23, 33, I just will need you to read. Give me a second. Give me a second. I can just want to get here real quick, because it's just a great example of what we're actually talking about and how it actually links up to the story and the testimony and the precept of what we're talking about, and it can be able to it will be able to establish for the public of what we're trying to say. Chapter 33 of 2 Chronicles, started from verse 1 to verse 20. So I'm going to start with chapter 21, verse 1, 2 Kings. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah. He did what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh, like the abominations of the nations that Yahweh had driven out before the children of Israel. Remember, these are the Canaanites that were sacrificing unto idols, who were offering to Moloch, right, and slaughtering the innocent blood. Verse 3, he built the high places that his father Hezekiah had destroyed. He erected altars to Baal. He made an Asherah idol, as Ahab, king of Israel, had done. He bowed down to the entire host of the heaven and worshiped them. Verse 4, he built altars in the temple of Yahweh, about which Yahweh has said, I shall place my name in Jerusalem. He built altars to the entire host of the heaven in the two courtyards of the temple of Yahweh. He passed his son through the fire, practiced astrology and read omens, and performed necromancy and conjured up spirits. He was profuse in doing what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh to anger him. Verse 7, the Asherah idol that he had made, he placed in the temple, concerning which Yahweh said to David and his son Solomon, in this temple and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen from among all the tribes of Israel, I shall place my name forever. And I shall no longer cause the feet of Israel to wander from the land that I have given to their forefathers, provided they are careful to act according to all that I have commanded them, and to the entire Torah that my servant Moses commanded them. But they did not listen. Manasseh led them astray to do more evil than the nations that Yahweh had destroyed from before the children of Israel. So, as we can see right now, all the things that Yahweh required for the children of Israel to do, for the kings of Judah who come from the lineage of David, all they were required to do was live according to the Torah and to keep the commandments and statutes. Starting with Manasseh, drawing the people back to do the exact opposite, worshiping idols, worshiping Asherah and bringing sacrifice to Asherah, slaughtering their innocent children. Okay, verse 10. Yahweh spoke through his servants, the prophets, saying, because Manasseh, king of Judah, has committed these abominations, he did worse than all that the Amorite who was before him had done. And he caused even Judah to sin with his idols. Verse 12, therefore, thus said Yahweh, Elohei Yasharal, behold, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah that both ears of anyone who hears of it will ring. Verse 13, I will stretch out upon Jerusalem the level of Samaria and the plumb line of the house of Ahab. I will wipe out Jerusalem as one would wipe a plate thoroughly, and then turn it upside down. I shall abandon the remnant of my heritage and deliver them in the hands of their enemies, where they will be plundered and trampled by all their enemies. We're going to touch on that situation of what we're required to do today, because we can't make any particular blood offerings or sacrifices in the land of our captivity. Let me read on. Verse 15, because they did what is evil in my eyes and angered me from the day that their forefathers left Egypt and to this day. Verse 16, Manasseh also shed very much innocent blood until he filled Jerusalem from the end to end with it. Let me read that again real quick. Verse 16, Manasseh also shed very much innocent blood until he filled Jerusalem from end to end with it, aside from his sin of causing Judah to sin to do what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh. Verse 17, the rest of the deeds of Manasseh and all that he did and his sins that he committed, behold, they are recorded in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah. So, as we can see, the wickedness of Manasseh, and again, that verse 16 to point that out, Manasseh also shed very much innocent blood until he filled Jerusalem from end to end with it. And remember, when innocent blood is filled in the land, it defileth the land, and Yahweh will require of it. Now, can somebody go to 2 Chronicles chapter 33, starting from verse 1?
Yeah, I got it out. That's going to
Cool.
be 2 Chronicles 33, verse 1. Manasseh was 12 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 15 years in Jerusalem. He did what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh, like the abominations of the nations that Yahweh had driven out before the children of Israel. He rebuilt the high places that his father Hezekiah had broken down. He erected altars to Baal. He made Asherah trees and bowed down the entire host of heaven and worshiped them. Now, keep this in mind. He's already doing everything he's not supposed to. In fact, he's doing everything that the law and that the instruction has told us not to. He built altars in the temple of Yahweh, about which Yahweh said, "My name is in Yasha'al forever." He built altars and he built altars to the entire host of heaven in the two courtyards of the temple of Yahweh. He passed his sons through the fire, which is Moloch, in the valley of Ben. The son Hinnom practiced astrology, read omens, did sorcery, performed necromancy, and conjured spirits. He was profuse at doing what was evil in the eyes of Yahweh to anger him. It says he placed the graven image that he had made in the temple of Elohim, concerning which Elohim had said to David and his son Solomon, "In this temple of Yasha'al, which I have chosen from among the 10 tribes of Yashar, I shall place my name forever, and I and and I shall no longer remove Israel's feet from the land that I have established for your forefathers, provided they are careful to act accordingly to all that I have commanded them. All the Torah statutes and ordinances through Moshe, but Manasseh led Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem astray to do more evil than the nations that Yahweh had destroyed." So we did worse than they did, because why? Jake is better at everything. So when we do wickedly better than everybody else. It says, Yahweh spoke to Manasseh and the people, but he did not listen. So Yahweh brought against him the officers of the king of Assyria, and that goes back to Ezekiel 7:23. Make a chain, for the land is full of blood and injustice. But once again, he said, make a chain for the land. So, once again, King of Syria, and they captured Manasseh with hunting hooks, bound him in chains, and led him off to Babylonia. But in his distress, he besieged Yahweh his Elohim and humbled himself greatly before Elohim of his fathers. He prayed to him, and he was entreated by him, and he heard his supplication, and he returned him to Jerusalem to the kingship. But then Manasseh realized that Yahweh is Elohim. After this, he built the outer wall of the city of David to the west of Gihon Brook, approaching the fish gate and going around to the Ophel. It says, and he raised to it a great height. He also placed army officers in the fortified cities of Judah. He removed the strange gods and the image from the temple of Yahweh and the altars he had built on the mountain of the temple of Yahweh. Now, also, there's a sense in this you got to remember. In his return, he had to take the idolatry out of himself, as well as out of the land, but he had to get it out of his inwards first.
Con.
It says, and he rebuilt the altar of Yahweh and slaughtered peace offerings and thanksgiving offerings on it. And he commanded Judah to worship Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel. However, the people still brought offers at the high places of Bet to Yahweh, the Elohim. The rest of these deeds of Manasseh and his prayer to his Elohim and the words of the seers who spoke to him in the name of Yahweh, Elohim of Yasha'al, behold, they are the chronicles of the kings of Yasha'al, and the prayer, and that Yahweh was entreated by him, and his sins and his treachery, and the places in which he built high places reached Asherah trees and idols before he was humbled. Behold, they are recorded in the words of the seers. Manasseh lay with his forefathers and was buried in his place. His son Amon reigned in his place. So,
Okay, great.
go ahead.
I just want to make it quick, because it pretty much identifies exactly what we brothers is pretty much bringing to the public, is that these are the things that what Yahweh required. Now we should never get to the point where we are committed so much appallingly evil and wickedness before Yahweh to the point where it still destroys the kingdom. Now Yahweh did restore him, and that's what required of us to when he was brought out of Israel, when he was brought out of Jerusalem, and when he went to Babylon, he besought his God, he besought Elohim, he besought Yahweh, and it was entreated of him, and that he turned from his wicked ways, and like the brother Avaya said, he had to get the idols out of his heart first before he was able to get all the idolatry out of the temple and out of the land of Israel and out of Jerusalem. So these are the things that's required. But Israel, we need to pay attention to this. We should never commit so much abominations to the point where it destroys our nation. Now he was saved out of the situation. He lay with his fathers. But what happened to everybody else? What happened to his children and to his children's children unto the third and to the fourth generation? They were brought into captivity. And here we are today because of the wickedness of our forefathers. And we should not just only think about ourselves when we walking in this world. We should think about our children and our children's children unto the third to the fourth generation, because Yahweh will require it from our children if we commit wickedness. And I yield. Salam.
I got some precepts to bring out. Just basically gonna tie all that with a nice bow. And it's Leviticus 18, and it's verse 1 through 5. I'm gonna start, and it says, Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Yashua and say to them, I am Yahweh your God. Do not perform the practice of the land of Egypt in which you dwelled, and do not perform the practice of the land of Canaan to which I bring you, and do not follow their traditions. Carry out my laws and safeguard my decrees to follow them. I am Yahweh your God. You shall observe my decrees, my laws, which man shall carry out, and by which he shall live. I am Yahweh." So, with that being said, the whole premise of the topic was the blood sacrifice and the covenants. Those are Canaanite covenants. Those are their customs. Those are their traditions. You just heard the brother said Manasseh, he did worse than the Amorite that was before him. That means the Amorite who was way before, like in the land before Yahshua had even came out of Egypt. And that's why those nations were destroyed, because of all the wickedness that they were doing. So he inadvertently caused the same thing upon Yahshua. Yahweh said he caused Judah to sin. You know what I'm saying? That's taking a whole account. And that looks bad, especially because after everything that the Y had built up and tried to have everybody going on the right path, it just kind of like, due through certain wicked kings, it crumbled down. It just kept chipping away. But I mean, it's glad to see that he changed his ways, but it's still bittersweet because everything is set in motion because of what he done. You know what I'm saying? But with that, I yield.
Con, and we're rounding about the hour time now, and I don't know if you brothers want to continue for a little for longer, but it's getting to be about an hour now. So if you brothers want to start the wrapping it up, we can. But I wanted to bring out this verse here, particularly about the Most High and how what He considers people, who indulge in blood and who indulge in shedding blood, you know, and the practice of shedding it. This is Psalms chapter 5, verse 5, and it says, "For you are not a God who desires wickedness, nor evil sojourns with you. Roisterers cannot stand firm before your eyes. You despise all evildoers. May you doom the speakers of deception, Yahweh. I'm sorry. May you doom the speakers of deception. Yahweh abhors a bloodthirsty and a deceitful man. But I, through your abundant kindness, I will enter your house, and I will prostrate myself toward your holy sanctuary in awe of you. So basically, what I was saying is through that verse, the verse speaks itself. But the Most High doesn't enjoy bloodshedders, or people who haste to shed blood. Deceitful people are in bed with bloodshedders. The Most High he despises bloodthirsty people. He himself doesn't desire any wickedness, any evil. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the case. The Most High is pure, more so than the words that we can speak. You know, so it's just like, uh, it is true. We got to be in awe of him, and that's the only way we can ever get anywhere is to, like, serve the Most High and keep His word, follow His word, because His word brings life. You know, He brought you to life with a thought. You know what I'm saying? So His word can heal you. Obviously, not obviously, but that's the case. You know what I mean? Um, and He doesn't require any type of physical, like, He don't require blood. You know what I'm saying? That's just the case. Blood's usually in the mix of something when death is in the midst. And like I said, the Most High has no mention in death. You know, so that's just the case. Uh, I appreciate all the brothers been on tonight. This brother Z. I just wanted to say shalom to all the brothers and sisters out there who's able to tune in tonight to check out the brothers and us pretty much expound on this whole blood doctrine. Um, this Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who are involved in other types of who are involved in all types of wickedness, who require blood, or who for some reason need to have blood, but that's not the case. The Most High requires an inward sacrifice. It doesn't require blood. That's only a ceremonial thing, and that's after we get it together inwardly. So you know, shalom to all the brothers and sisters out of there. I mean, out there, and shalom to the panel. Yahweh Kai.
Shalom. Oh, my bad. Shalom, this is Brother Davion, and I just want to get out my last couple of verses, and this is Psalms 40. I'm gonna start at verse 7. Neither feast offering nor meal offering did you desire, but you opened ears from me. Burnt offering and sin offering you did not request. Then I said, Behold, I have come. With the scroll of the book that is written for me, to fulfill your will, my God, do I desire, and yet thou art wise in my innards. So meditation and contemplation on the Tawawah, right? He said, neither feast offering nor meal offering did you desire, but you opened ears for me, right? So he can heed Yahweh, right? Burnt offerings and sin offerings you did not request. Then I said, Behold, I have come with the scroll of the book that is written for me, to fulfill your will, my God, do I desire, and yet thou wise is in my innards. So to 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 carry out Yahweh's commandments, his laws, his statutes, his ordinances, right? To walk uprightly, right? Is what Yahweh desires, right? Now, I'm gonna go to Deuteronomy 6, and I'm gonna start at verse 4. It's gonna be my last couple of verses. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahweh is our God. Yahweh is the one and the only. You shall love Yahweh, your God, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your resources. And these matters that I command you today shall be upon your heart. You shall teach them thoroughly to your children, and you shall speak of them while you sit in your home, while you walk on the way, when you retire, and when you arise. Bind them as a sign upon your arm, and let them be ornaments between your eyes, and write them on the doorpost of your house and upon your gates. So in your mind always, you have to arrange your thoughts to be set on the Tawawah and what Yahweh wants, not what you want. It's what Yahweh wants. So you want to walk in his truth as best as you can, right? Because Yahweh, he gives you life each and every day. So that's what we like trying to get across to Yasharal. Like it's not about just like blood. It's the inward sacrifice, offering confession to Yahweh. That's what it is. So yeah, shalom to all of Yasharal out there, all the brothers on the panel. Tawadah Lahayim, Tawadah Yahweh, for allowing us to get together and bring out more truth to Yasharal. And those who are willing to listen and turn away from the iniquitous way and their wicked ways. And that's all I had to say. Yahweh Akkad, Shalom.
Khan. Uh, Shalom, guys. Shalom, Akim. This is Brother X. I want to bring up my last. It's not going to be a last verse. It's more so verse 6. Uh, it's actually a nice passage. I wanted to bring up, but it's in correlation because it's one of the things that ties with the whole blood. That's right there. It's a Oh, fuck, I can't talk. That's a covenant of death. You know what I'm saying? It's a compact with the grave. So I'll be reading in Isaiah. It'll be chapter 28, and I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 14. And it says, therefore, hear the word of Yahweh, O scoffing men, O rulers of this people who are in Jerusalem. For you say, we have sealed a covenant with death and made a compact with the grave. When the surging staff of punishment passes through it, it will not come to us. For we have made deceit our shelter and taken refuge in falsehood. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, Lord Elohim, behold, I am laying a stone for a foundation in Zion, a sturdy stone, a precious cornerstone, a secure foundation. Let the believer not expect it soon. I shall use judgment as a measuring line, and righteousness as a plumb block. Hail will swoop away the shelter of deceit, and water will wash away the refuge of falsehood. And your covenant with death will be annulled, and your compact with the grave will not be binding. When the surging staff passes through, you will be crushed by it. Whenever it passes through, it will take you, for it will pass through every morning, by day and by night. Understanding of this report will bring sure horror, for the mat will be too short for the stretching out, and the cover too small for getting into. For Yahweh will raise up as at the mountain of Patarim, he will become enraged as at the valley of Gibeon to perform his deed. Or it's like to perform his deed. Unusual is his deed, and doing his work. Strange is his work. So now, do not scoff, lest your affliction become more severe. For a total annihilation have I heard from my Allahim, Adonai Yahweh, Master of Legions, concerning the entire land. So that's for all those well, you know who they are, you know what I'm saying? The perpetrators out there who are drinking their cups of blood in darkness and seclusion and secrecy, who thinks nobody can see you, but Yahweh sees all, you know, and you're not gonna be able to run or hide from the passing staff. Just told you that, you know. So with that I yield. I want to say shalom to all the Akim out there. Gotta keep reading, guys. You gotta keep gaining knowledge, wisdom, understanding. You know, if you're not learning, you're not really doing nothing, and it's not good to stay stagnant. And that goes for all of us. So we got to make sure we all, keep up this momentum. And may you guys have a peaceful rest. And Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Kai, Yahweh Zabewak, Barak Yahweh. You know what I'm saying? You guys have a nice night. Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. So say hallelujah. Let's get out my last one. Just kind of cover what we've done over the night. Like I said, we're doing this to dispel all of these blood doctrines, death doctrines. And just to also back up that it's not blood, but it's your actions. We're gonna go to Isaiah 27, verse number 9. Therefore, through this shall Jacob's iniquity be atoned for, and this shall be the fruit of his sins removal, when he makes all the altar stones like ground chalk stones, and all the Asherah trees and all the sun idols are raised no more. Now remember, first thing first is you got to remove it from out of yourself, from out of your temple. The same way we went over that earlier. When the king removed the idols from the temple, that's you. You have to remove it from inside of yourself, get it out of your mind, and then your actions can proceed there. So, Yahweh's always letting us know, just come to him and he'll correct all of that. But this is just for anybody, who still think it's something about blood, because we don't deal with blood. And it's just that simple. And to simplify it, You're not in the land is you. This is why we give offerings, we give thanks, we give confession, we give praise. That's our offering, and we redeem our vows. The offering is never blood because you're not supposed to shed your blood, and you're the temple. With that, I yield. Hallelujah, Yahweh.
Shalom, shalom, brothers, shalom. I just want to first want to do is give shout outs. Um, first, first and foremost, Yahweh Kai. I just thank him that he gave us the Shabbat so we can be able to do these things, that we can be able to build the temple with the Torah as we continue as we give out information with the different verses that's regarding these blood doctrine uh, or false doctrines that's coming out, and that we debunk these doctrinal theories with the Torah, and that we have the opportunity to do that together as a group, and that we have opportunity to give that to the people so they can actually use it and they can actually apply it in their life. And at the same time, we can be able to rest, and we can, get rid of the things that happened last week during our work week. During that time, our work week, we can get rid of that, and we can just focus on Yahweh, focus on the edification of us brothers, and us giving out different information to one another, and us learning from each other, and then giving it out to the public. So I just thank Yahweh God for that. May him reign forever and ever. Also, shout out to you brothers on the panel, man. I appreciate you brothers. You bring out great information. I learn a lot from you brothers, and I just want to continue to learn from you all, man. And I just pray in the name of Yahweh God that I'm doing the same thing for you, that I'm giving you good information. And if I'm not, let me know, man, because I appreciate what you all do. Um, and I pray that you brothers enjoy your Shabbat. Um, to shout outs to the brother Judah that wasn't able to come in. Hope you're enjoying your Shabbat and your family. Um, and to the other Torah nights, the other Torah night families outside worldwide, and to the Torah Israelites, let us continue to be the living example for the nations as the Torah. Let us be the living Torah, the living Torah man and woman for the people out there, and for our brothers and sisters that's not in the Torah, that's in a different religion, that's in a different concept of thought with regards to living, and outside of the congregation of Israel with regards to living according to the Torah. Let us continue to be an example for them. And also, in my last shout out to the stranger, to the fatherless, to the widow, to the poor and needy of Israel. May Yahweh increase you and bless you, and may you be delivered during the time of his visitation. And the verse that I'm going to bring out this is regarding the dealing with the blood doctrine, things of that nature. I'm going to Psalms chapter 16, verse 4. Let me just go here real quick. Um, Psalms chapter 16, verse 4. And I'm going to end at verse 7. And it says, their sorrows will multiply those who rush after other gods. I shall not pour their libations of blood. I shall not carry their names upon my lips. Verse 5. Yahweh is my allotted portion and my share. You guide my destiny. Verse 6. Portions have fallen to me in pleasant places. Even the inheritance is beautiful to me. I will bless Yahweh, who has advised me. Also in the nights my intellect instructs me. And the last verse that I want to bring out is Leviticus chapter 26 of what we're required to do. Are we required to give a blood sacrifice to Yahweh today in order for receive atonement for our sins today, or are we to do something else regarding how can we be restored to Yahweh? And I'm going again to Leviticus chapter 26, starting from verse 40. And it states, Give me 1 second. Slack. Okay. Then they will confess their sin and the sin of their forefathers for the treachery which they have betrayed me, and also for having behaved toward me with casualness. I too will behave toward them with casualness, and I will bring them into the land of their enemies. Perhaps then their unfeeling heart will be humbled, and then they will gain appeasement for their sin. I will remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. These are the things that's required for us. Humbling before ourselves in the land of our captivity, going to Yahweh and say, hey, this is the prayer that I pray to Yahweh. As every time that I pray to Yahweh, this is the verse that I use to Yahweh. Because that is the requirement of us right now. What we're doing right now, because he told us he's going to bring us into the land of our captivities, that he's going to send us into the land of our enemies. And this is what we require of us, not blood sacrifices. I say Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Halal Yahweh, Salah. Salah.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Man, you guys were on rapid fire. I done ran out of verses. Wow. That's crazy. I'm over here checking off my list. Okay, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone.
Stop, man. Stop, man.
You see how the Most High works. That's how Yahweh works, man. He uses all of us to say one, but I'm looking for this particular one in Isaiah. Or wasn't in Ezekiel? See, I don't have my Torah with me. I'm using my e-sword right now. Well, the one where he says to call on him, and he will forgive your sins and heal your land. It was a precept to that I had, and I had it marked in my Tanakh, and I don't have it with me. I left it at my brother's house.
I don't remember. I don't think I remember the verse exactly. I think I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, that's the one I want to bring out.
Brother Tom, what book is it from?
I think it was in Isaiah.
Okay.
If my people who called by my name will humble themselves.
That might be Chronicles. That may be Chronicles.
My bad. See, I don't have this thing with me.
It's hot, right? Is it hot?
Yeah, it's Second Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14.
Chronicles 7:14. Oh, that's it. If my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. There's nothing about blood in there. There's nothing about a sacrifice in there. The sacrifice you offer is giving up these habits from the other nations. Is dropping them. That's your sacrifice. So with that, with empty hands tonight, I yield. Say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Rock up, Barak Thami Yahweh. Yahweh Kai.
Khan. Shalom, brother. That's a beautiful verse, and that kind of pretty much hits the needle on the head right there at the end. If any of your other brothers got any words to say,
I yield. Shalom.
That's it. Okay, last verse, Isaiah 29, verse 15. Woe to those who try to hide in depths to conceal counsel from Yahweh, and their deeds are done in darkness. They say, who sees us, who knows of us. Shall your contraries be considered like the potter's clay? Can a product say of its maker, he did not make me? A molder thing say of its molder, he does not understand. Behold, in just a little while, the Lebanon will become farmland, and the farmland will be considered like the forest. Yep. So, Shalom, that's just to those who try to do things in concealment. You can't conceal from Yahweh. You know, Yahweh is afar and He's nearby. So, you know, you just need to guard your foot, protect your neck. You know, make sure you're walking this path as straight as you can, and do not lose resolve. What what did they tell Joshua? They say, "Be strong and courageous." you know.
Kind. So beautiful verses from all the brothers and all the brothers online. I was gonna say sisters, but we don't have any sisters on. To all you sisters out there, feel free to message us to be on the platform. Any of you brothers out there want to be on the platform, feel free to message us. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and sisters who couldn't be here. Brother Judah, um, uh, brother Negi, Negi wasn't on tonight. Who else? Um, all the brothers and sisters out there who watch and who who keep faith in the Tanakh and the Torah, who follow us, not follow us, but who who watch the videos to try to be edified and everything, and to try to stick around with the brothers. Shout out to the brother Hezekiah too. All the brothers in TK. It's just hard for me to remember everybody. Um, so yeah, we want to try to continue to bring out the videos, do as much as we can for Yasharal, as much edification or as much expounding as we can. We thank the Most High Yahweh for re bestowing upon us this understanding, in these days, for re enlightening in us in a time of darkness. Praise Yahweh, Hallelujah. And I pray that all you brothers and sisters out there are able to have a restful Shabbat. And just like the brother Devin said, something that I hadn't thought about saying, uh, may all the needy out there, Yasharal, may all those who are lacking in any way, shape, or form. I pray the Most High feels the holes in your life, and I pray he protects you and he keeps you warm tonight. Um, you know, uh, Shalom.